だからその優しく教えてほしいです。
帰っていいよ。
わーい、ノリの悪いやつですね。こんな美少女を押し倒さねえとか、おめえどっかおかしいんじゃねえです。
中身は美少女じゃないけどね。
今なんつったです。
別に何も。
So I know I said this last week, and I'm a broken record, okay? The Banished Hero, the ED, I just can't get over it. No matter how I'm feeling about the episode, and I know I said the same thing last week, no matter how I'm feeling about the episode, the ED is just so much better than the actual anime. It just boggles and baffles my mind every single week. The ED is just, it has no right to be that good. Like, it's just, if you just watch the ED alone and you're like, this is the ending of a show, you'd be like, I need to watch this show. This show's like, you just need to, you need to watch it. But when you actually watch the show, you're like, oh. Okay, let me not talk shit. Episode number 8 of Banished Hero. I thought this was a pretty good episode. I was not expecting the elf girl. I was not expecting the elf girl who's crazy about blacksmithing to be a elven like queen or elven royalty or anything. I was not expecting that. Now, what I will say is the moment this episode, like the moment that they kind of started, like, the elves were really taking notice of her and she was being really popular, there was 2 avenues that my brain went to. One was, oh, she must be a half elf. And you know how, like, in almost all anime and manga and like even light novels and stories, how they depict elves always hating half elves. And this extends to video games too. Earlier this year, I was playing a game called Unicorn Overlord, and one of your romantic options and one of the people that you get in that game, also awesome game. Go watch my review on youtube.com/thegamelooters. Go watch my other YouTube channel. But one of the storylines is there's a character in there who's a half elf who's kind of been ostracized by the elvish community and the human community because she doesn't fit in either. It's kind of like when you're half of a specific race and then you go move to that country. You're not really seen as someone from that country or somebody. You're just kind of stuck in this middle ground. So that was my first, like, okay, that's my first thought. But then my second thought was like, I bet she's like super important and like they sense something from her. I didn't know what that really meant, but I was like, that's where my thought process was like, oh, I bet she's something like really important, or like she must be exuding something of importance and like people are being attracted to her. And that actually came to play, and it's because of her fairy sovereign eyes. And sovereign's the key word there that I guess I didn't really put 2 and 2 together when Alan had mentioned it when she was first introduced initially. But that totally makes sense. Sovereign, fairy sovereign eyes and stuff like that. That totally makes sense. So, based on Henriette's power, she beams her to the elf forest, and she's seen as long-lost royalty. I was hoping that this episode would go down kind of giving us a history lesson of what happened to her parents and what happened to her lineage, like where's her elves live a long time. So it's like, where's her grandparent, where's her parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-great-grandparents, like where are they? Like, how did the whole royal line die out? Like, what exactly happened? So I was hoping that they went down that path. The opportunity is still there. Will they take it? Probably not. But, I was hoping that they would go down that path. They didn't. Instead, we went down the path of her trying to figure out, like, what do I do? And, do I stay here? Do I not? And at the end of the day, it's like, her calling is blacksmithing. So that's kind of where the main thing comes, is like, okay, if we put ourselves, or if anybody puts themselves in Noelle's shoes, it's like, okay, well, what does she choose? Does she choose something that's her calling? But as she stated this episode, her calling is kind of complete. her thing was to complete, I think her name was Vanessa, but her mentor's kind of like thing was to create a divine weapon. She did that. So she completed like her main mission. So what do you do now? So she has to kind of figure out what that is. And everything else, you know, the other thing too, that's really the main thing. Then we have the bad guy who, you know, is for whatever reason, they're trying to find their way into the elf village. Don't know the whole deal there. We're going to see, you know, why. It seems like this kid's going to be the in to get into the elf village, but at the end of the day, you know, Alan's there. So I don't think anybody's really worried about whatever threat these people are exuding. I don't think there's any real, like, you know, do they want to go into the elf village because they're harboring demons? You know, what's the main reason there? But regardless, Alan's there. So their threat is minimized by the fact that literally the strongest person on the planet is in the elf village to protect them. So that's that. One more thing I wanted to say to you guys is just the show in general. I wanna read something to you guys, and I want to tell you kind of where my issue becomes with the show is, especially this episode is solidified it because the way Alan was interacting with Henriette, right? He was like, she was trying to make a move on him, and then she was like, why don't you make a move on a beautiful girl? And he's like, well, you're beautiful on the outside, but not the inside, you know, whatever. And it didn't really hit me as far as being funny, but I want just to read the synopsis of the show to you, okay? The synopsis of this show, and one of the genre tags for the show is romance, okay? The synopsis for this show is, I can finally go search for the peaceful life I've been looking forward to since my past life. So he wants to find peace. Alan, a boy called a failure because he was not blessed with the gift from God, is actually a former hero who still has the memories and powers of his past life. Using his banishment of his family from the duchy as an excuse, Alan is about to start his carefree journey to do whatever he wants when he comes across an attempt on the life of his ex-fiancée. The former hero wants a relaxing life this time around, but the heroic fantasy life he never wanted is about to begin. So the synopsis reads basically to me how I depicted it before I watched the show. You can go back and watch my what should you watch this season. I was just breaking down should you watch it or not based off the synopsis. The synopsis reads to me that he had a plan to go and just do, you know, fuck off and do whatever he wants. But because his fiance life was being threatened, he now changed all his plans for her. There's been zero romance this season. And that's totally fine if one of the subgenres of the show wasn't romance. And it's like, I want to see him, like, I want to see some kind of romantic spark, whether it is, you know, Rise or whatever her name, Rise, right? Her name's Rise? Whether it's Rise or whether it is Henriette now, or whether it is Noelle or, what's the other girl's name? What's the, I don't remember, but the other girls, the one with her, she got her half titties out all the time. Whatever her name is. Also, I barely noticed that she had, you know, half a boob hanging out every time. I didn't really notice that before. But whatever her name is, like, you know, I just want to see something of that nature. You know, some kind of romanticness of the show. You know, not just used as a ploy for comedy that doesn't hit. But anyways, this episode overall is 6.5, 7 out of 10. Not too bad. It was a decent episode. We'll see what ends up next week. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for allowing me to dribble on and drabble on as I nitpicked a piece of the show. And I'll see you guys next week. All right, my friends. Peace out.